And from Austria, we go to Turkey, Aslian Kuruyan Sabanci, the #1 independent publisher of wellness and healthy books.
Hello. It's my honor and pleasure to be here. So I read one? Okay. So I've been with the Gourmand family, knowing all these wonderful people, very similar faces, a growing number of family for many years. It's my pleasure to be here with you. I will. This one? Which one? The green one, okay. Okay. So I've been writing cookbooks since 2010. Just to briefly mention, my first book was Gluten-Free Mediterranean Gourmet Cuisine, Invaluable Recommendations for a Healthy Immune System. I published it in 2010. And my second book was Gluten-Free Gourmet Cuisine for Children. I had to write it as a mother of 3 children. One of them is here right now. And my third book is Health and Beauty Home Remedies. I will mention about these books in a while. And my other 2 books are Gluten-Free and Sugar-Free Gourmet Cuisine, Desserts and Saltines, and Nature's Therapeutic Recipes. And I'm writing my 6th books right now, which is the continuation of Nature's Therapeutic Recipes, more concentrated on phytotherapy and medicinal uses of these plants around the world. So since 2010, thanks to the motivation and appreciation and all the network I got from Gourmand with nice memories, I got inspiration from all of the works with all of the valuable writers like yourself, made very good friends, and it's been a pleasure to be here. Right now, I'm a PhD at University College, PhD student, class of 2029, at University College London, Bartlett School of Energy, Environment and Resources for the Institute of Sustainable Resources. But I chose this path, falling in love with the medicinal plants, the food, the vegetables, and everything we ate. And I also saw that they're fastly disappearing. So I said these resources should be protected. And it's very connected with, biodiversity is very connected with what we eat. So I started doing my PhD this year. But my education is, I started studying molecular biology and genetics, and then in my second year I transferred to being an economist major, and I completed my MBA, and afterwards I completed, when I started writing my books, many programs including immunology, pharmacology, wellness, nutrition and dietetics, wines, French wines, but it's including more of like architecture, food photography, and many more. My first book, after I realized my immune disorders and food allergies, and having worked many years in healthcare sector myself, I was looking for resources for Mediterranean cuisine on gluten-free eating, because I was also gluten sensitive, and I realized that when I gave birth to my 3rd child, and I was in my early 30s, and when I found no resources available in the market, I tried to do our own Turkish and Mediterranean recipes at home, to develop some recipes that are gluten-free, excluding all the gluten items in it. And nobody wanted to publish this. They said at the time, when it was 2010, it will not sell, and it will not be interesting because nobody knows gluten and nobody eats gluten-free. And I thought that I cannot be the only one who is having this issue, and I decided to publish it myself. And it was 2.5 years of work, and it was the first gluten-free cookbook, Turkish cookbook in the world. And I made tables showing the antioxidant values for each recipe, because also a healthy immune system is a way to overcome the immune disorders. And that's very connected with food and what we eat. And thanks to Gourmand for first-time publishers and authors like me, I was recognized. And then when people know that the gluten-free eating was also very important, more books came also on this issue. So I included sections of the reasons for food sensitivity, the differences between celiac disease and food sensitivity, and how to overcome the antioxidants, where else antioxidants are found in nature and in my recipes. And then I included recipes like homemade curd cheese, which is from our cuisine, and homemade Turkish delight. Like, I wanted to show that you can make some of the desserts also gluten-free. And my other book, Health and Beauty Home Remedies, was more like a holistic approach, also including seasonality of foods and some skin care that is gluten-free that you can make homemade in your kitchen, some healthy drinks, and some natural antibiotics made from garlic and lemon and just ginger. And of course, in the holistic approach, not eating healthy is not only enough for the whole well-being, so I included like being away from stress and doing meditation, yoga, or whatever is good for you, included in your lifestyle. And this is also another recipe, like a homemade eye pillow to relax you and have a good night's sleep. There is rice or lint seeds in it, and you can put lavenders or roses, whatever you want, just to have like a relaxing environment. But you can always make all these in your home kitchen. And as a mother of 3 children, before they grow and I forget how to deal with difficult eaters, I wanted to write this book. And this book is about making children love the junk food, who love the junk food, the homemade versions of all that food at home, like homemade hamburgers, homemade chicken nuggets, homemade ketchup, homemade vinegars, and homemade fish cakes, like for the ones who doesn't like to eat the fish as a whole, but in the form of like a cake, like the idea of a meatball. That's another homemade cheese recipe. So that's the chicken nugget right there. And I use beetroot a lot, so I had to put that picture. But I tried to make it appealing for children, make the chicken nuggets look like stars, or make it look like more modern to appeal for the children. And with all these friendships throughout the years, thanks to Gourmand, all my 3 first books were also displayed in Sweden at the International Cookbook Exhibition, together with the other 25-year award winners in Björkborn. And thanks to Gourmand for this wonderful opportunity as well. And my other book, Nature's Therapeutic Recipes, I wrote this during COVID. wrote my other two books, Gluten-Free, Sugar-Free Gourmet Cuisine and Nature's Therapeutic Recipes, because during COVID, we all understood how important it is to eat healthy, because the survivors were the ones with the strong immune system. And the plants are really, the food we eat is really our medicine. So in this book I mentioned about the plant ethnicity. As we do have ethnicity, plants do have ethnicity as well. I will come to that point in a while, but all these global centers of plant ethnicity and plant diversity is all around the world, as you know. So it's really important, not only in our country, but all around the world, to protect this biodiversity. So in this book, I wrote about some of the most commonly used plants, such as thyme and turmeric and many more, in their historical values and what kind of diseases they were used, what kind of antioxidants and compounds they have, and why they are good for our health. And in this book, I also wanted to mention about the new nutritional model that's developed after the COVID pandemic. Also in America, they accepted that the Mediterranean diet was the best diet to follow, which is full of whole grains. So it was like writing carbohydrates before. So the term carbohydrates changed to whole grains. Proteins, the term meat changed to proteins, which includes the plant proteins, plant-based proteins. The vegetables and fruits are half of the other plate. So this is like a more round plate section. But they also included the importance of sleep, water, the healthy oils, the sport, and not consuming too much salt or hydrogenated fats or refined sugars. So my other book, Gluten-Free and Sugar-Free Gourmet Cuisine, was more about also eliminating refined sugars, not only the gluten. And it was quite challenging to make those macarons, for instance, using no powdered sugar and no food coloring. That in the picture is the green comes from the green tea powder, and the brown is the chocolate cacao. And so to make that consistency, I really had to change the recipes and try many times in the kitchen, but you can make it. You can make it work without refined sugars. This was spinach. So instead of using water, making the dough, I used with these cookies just the pressed spinach juice, and the ice cream also, just to make it more appealing. Just some molds to make the strawberry ice cream, and no, again, additives, pure strawberries. But I would like to mention about how gastronomy is connected with the human well-being and the sustainable development, because we're all in this together, and as writers, we all have a mission for passing this message and eating healthy and contributing to the health of the humans. So gastronomy has power to inspire, educate, connect, and promote by making it look appealing, making it look beautiful, connecting. So we have a very important role. And we're all interconnected in this world, because we breathe the same air, we swim in the same oceans. The oceans have, they go around the whole world, so with the currents. But then we also see the effects of this global warming, and we all see this sad picture of the polar bear, and we're all responsible in helping the ecosystem recover. So when we see like a 1.5 degree increase in the temperature, we say like, oh, it's just 1.5 degree, but in fact, it's the 4% of the mammals losing their natural habitat. So if it's 2 degrees increase, it's 8% loss. If it's 3 degrees, it's 41%. It's really, really severe effect on the temperature. And it is record high every single year compared with the year before. So I'm also a PADI scuba diver, and I dive in different parts of the world. And this is in Indian Ocean. I was helping building coral frames, and I see the huge change in the corals due to global warming. And the reason for coral bleaching is actually there is the soul of the corals, which is the algae that lives in the corals. They get stressed under higher temperatures, and the soul of the coral, which is the algae, leaves the coral. So it's like the bleaching of the whales. So it's like they die, and due to these high temperatures. And I would like to show you a movie about also the plastic waste. Do we have the sound? No sound?
Found floating with a very big cut over his eye, but that has already healed, and he started passing some plastic.
This is his poop.
Yes, this is all we found in
So
him.
he cannot dive because he swallowed plastic.
Yes, yes. So we took him to get an X-ray a few days ago, and it looks like he got everything out already.
So he's ready to be released.
So in a little bit, yes. He was a bit skinny, so he's gaining a little bit of weight. So as soon as he's healthy, he'll be ready to go back.
Is this the plastic that comes out from the
Yes.
tummies of the turtles?
Yes, this is from Nadia, one of our turtles as well, and this is from B, our other very small juvenile over here. We are washing the tank, so she's in the smaller
So
one
she's
now.
pooping this out.
Yes.
And this one cannot sink as well.
No, she's getting better as well. There's still a little bit of plastic in there, but she's doing good. There's a few days now that she has improved plastic, but turtles take a long time to pass, especially if they have
How long
plastic.
does it take?
For sea turtles, their transit is around a week, but if they have plastic, it can be a very long time. But I gave her some medication to help with the.
So when a turtle swallows plastic, it takes about a week or 2 for it to get it out of the system. So for a turtle, if they cannot get the plastic out of their system, it means that they cannot dive. So this is very important. If a turtle cannot dive, it cannot eat anything because the food is at the bottom. So it starves and dies. So it's really sad, and it's really critical, this issue about the plastic waste. And another issue is the other type of junk in the oceans, which are the ghost nets. Ghost nets are the fishing equipment and the nets that float around that maybe get tangled to the stones, and when the fishermen are pulling the nets, some of them are released there and they float. And this is also another video. It's in Turkish. I will translate. It's translate later. Do we have the sound?
Bazen balıkçı ağlarının bazıları kopup denize kendi başlarına yüzüyorlar. Bu yüzen ağlara ghost net deniyor ve bu ghost netlere yakalanan kaplumbağalardan bir tanesi.
So this is a turtle losing one arm because it was tangled to the ghost nets. It was found and still cannot dive due to stress, not the plastic this time. And it takes a longer time for a turtle when they are stressed that they cannot dive. Can take months. So I was so afraid. So I lost an arm while trying to get out. And if a turtle loses one arm, it can be released back to the water. 2 arms can be released back to the water, but 3 arms cannot be released back to the water again. So it's really, really important that this junk in the sea has to stop. And it's the same in the land animals. These are also from the tummies of the land animals, all the plastic that they eat. And it's not only the plastic that's puncturing their organs, but also the toxic molecules that's released from the plastic is killing them. So the role of gastronomy here is really important. Why is it important? Because when we are careful consumers, we all help the ecosystem. And also, there's one very important factor that can reduce the plastic or and help the ecosystem is the eco-friendly packaging. So imagine that, you know, we reduce all the plastic just by reducing the plastic in the food packaging. That's a lot of help. And also the farming and the importance of the locally sourced food is also very important. And really, it's also very important in interconnectedness, but also in health. So imagine that we're eating a chicken that ingested plastic, that, you know, even plastic was found in mother's milk in very, very minute forms. So imagine how much plastic we ingest every day in our everyday lives. And the role of gastronomy is very important. And I'll very briefly quote from international organizations that how they place the role of the gastronomy in the health of the environment, the planet, and the well-being. World Economic Forum says a transformation is needed to balance economic growth and sustainability. So we need to invest in this kind of technologies, in this kind of food production that is contributing to the health of the ecosystem and health of the human being. Also the World Health Organization, same message. OECD, same message. World Bank, same message, saying, you know, we have to develop this and invest in this kind of technologies. United Nations have the goals saying, you know, protection of the water life, the terrestrial life, preserving biodiversity. And this is all connecting to gastronomy. And in 2016, United Nations announced the World Sustainable Gastronomy Day to recognize gastronomy as a great contribution to sustainability, to cultural heritage, and for the biodiversity, restructuring of the food chain, food safety, and nutrition. And we all know by heart what are the sustainability targets and in gastronomy. You know, also we must eat healthy. We must go back to consuming our local cuisines, not to have them disappear and lost. Because when we don't forget those local foods, we also create demand for these local foods. And because of the demand, the production for these local foods, the agriculture will be increased for these local foods. And the biodiversity needs this. The biodiversity will benefit from this because we will pay attention and we will all work together for these recipes not to be lost. So I go quicker on this one. And why is it important, this local cuisines? It's important because the plant doesn't exhibit the same components in all parts of the world. And when they're born, wherever they are born, they're more valuable due to the soil composition, the fossil composition, the pH composition of the ground and the soil. And this is where geographical indications is very important. And of course, it should be affordable. So as individuals, how can we contribute? We can contribute by creating demand, creating awareness, and working all together and connecting. So thank you.